Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Welcome to Love in Life, where I have just spent the last at least 5 minutes trying to work out my microphone, what's going on with the recording. But I finally sorted it, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear me. I hope you're well. For the last few days, I have been absolutely buzzing because this weekend, just gone, I went to, last weekend, I went to a belief coding event on Saturday. So I had another little solo trip up to Manchester on Friday, which, do you know what? Do you remember back in May, I had my first solo trip in I don't know how long for the podcasting event. And do you remember how scared I was and how anxious I was? It's absolutely remarkable now how I feel no nerves whatsoever. I absolutely love my little solo trips now. Anyway, I had just had the best day hanging out with like-minded people, being in the same room as people who share the same passion as you. There is nothing like it. And the reason why we were there was to celebrate the members of the belief coding community who have held over 100 sessions. And that's not me, because obviously I've only recently become accredited in belief coding. But I wanted to be there just to experience the excitement, be inspired, which it really was inspiring. And you know what? I just feel so motivated now because I cannot wait until I'm up on that stage getting my award for completing 100 sessions. So yeah, watch this space. So the topic I want to talk about today, I feel a bit nervous about this, and I've been procrastinating over this all morning, which to me means that I need to just suck it up and do it. Because there's a reason why I'm procrastinating about it, and that's because I'm scared. So the thing I want to talk about today, the subject I want to talk about today is bullying. Because this week in the UK, I don't know about anywhere else, but I know definitely in the UK, it's anti-bullying week, and that is where schools, organisations work together to raise the awareness of the impact that bullying has on people. And obviously, it's not just bullying in schools. Bullying happens at every stage of life. Bullying happens, sadly, in the workplace, and adults are just as affected by bullying as children are. And obviously, the effects bullying has on our mental health is why it makes it so relevant to talk on a positive mindset podcast. So I hope you agree that whilst it's not my normal type of subject, it is 100% relevant to our mindset, because I bet so many of us have been affected by bullying in one way or another. Raising awareness through Anti-Bullying Week emphasises the importance of encouraging people to have respect and support, and to try and achieve a culture where bullying is not tolerated and where it's discouraged and called out, and where every single individual is valued. So what actually is bullying? I've found a perfect description of what bullying is, which has been written by the Anti-Bullying Alliance. And it says, the repetitive and intentional hurting of one person or a group by another person or group, where the relationship involves an imbalance of power. Bullying can be physical, verbal, or psychological. It can happen face-to-face or online. And it goes on to say there are 4 key elements to this definition. So the 4 key words that are in that definition are hurtful, repetition, power imbalance, and intentional. And I think it's really good to have this definition, because often in the past I've struggled with the word bullying. I do feel that sometimes the word bullying is overused, because there can be isolated incidents which obviously don't involve repetition. Personally, and according to this definition, that's not bullying. People might disagree with that. Obviously, it depends on what situation you've been in. But I do find that definition rather helpful and somewhat triggering for me, because I have obviously mentioned in the past that I did experience, and at the time when I told you, I think I remember saying, I don't like using the word bullying, so I say picked on. But actually, what I find triggering right now is, why don't I like describing it as bullying? Because that is exactly what happened. If you look at that definition, it was hurtful, it was repetitive, there was 100% an imbalance of power, and for the most part, it was intentional. I'm going to go more into that later on, but I just found that description really helpful, and I just want you to take a little minute, especially if you've been on the receiving end of these things and you also find it difficult to use the word bullying. And I just want you to give yourself permission to describe what you went through as bullying. So the theme for this year's anti-bullying week is make a noise about bullying. And I think whether you've been on the receiving end of bullying or not, whether you've been on the dealing end of bullying, that I have absolutely no judgment against you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I have no judgment. But the fact that this year's anti-bullying theme is make a noise about bullying, it just seems really relevant to me right now, because where I am in my self-development journey and my self-discovery journey, I am uncovering lots of limiting beliefs and lots of my shadow side, which I've obviously talked about recently. I am discovering that a lot of that has come down to my experience of being bullied at school. And you know what? The stupid thing is, I say stupid, I shouldn't say that. The thing is, like I said to you, I don't like to use the word bully, and I haven't liked to use the word bullying in the past. I find that triggering. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, something I've realised today whilst I've been thinking about what I want to say about this subject is that the reason why I don't like using the word bullying, and the reason why I don't like talking about my experience, and the reason why I play it down is because, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's because I don't want the people who were bullying me, I still find that hard to say, the people who were bullying me, I don't want to upset them. And this is one of the effects of bullying. It has turned me into a people pleaser. I'm worried, or have been worried, And I got to be honest, this is my honest, open, true self today, okay? I'm going to be honest. Even now, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if one of those girls listens to this episode? I mean, the chances are very slim, but it's still in the back of my mind. Why do I do that? So I'm going to speak up today. I'm going to make a noise about it because it's not right. The amount of times I've had belief coding sessions, either held by myself or by my friends and colleagues in the belief coding community, the amount of times that I've gone in with my discomfort and my limiting belief, and the root cause has ended up being something to do with this group of girls. It's at least 50% of any belief coding sessions I've had. At least 50%. When you think any of the things from my childhood could have caused those trapped emotions and those limiting beliefs, anything in my childhood could have caused those. But 50% of the belief coding sessions I've had, that has been the root cause of it. So I guess my main aim from this episode today is just to show the effects that being bullied has on a person, even though that person thinks they've dealt with it and thinks that they've moved on from it and let it go. As in true belief coding fashion, those things will always resurface. All those times you swallowed those emotions down, all those times you swept it under the carpet, you swept it under how you were truly feeling, they will resurface at some point in your life. And this goes for anything, by the way. It's not just bullying. Any trapped emotion will resurface at some point. And I'm going to think back now, and I think I'm feeling rather emotional even thinking about this. But I didn't even realise that I was being bullied until my mum found out the real reason why I didn't want to go to school one day. I went years not wanting to go to school, finding reasons to stay at home, faking illnesses, faking colds, faking bad tummies. I did that for years. And one day, I remember not being able to walk out the door and knowing that I was going to meet this group of girls who were supposed to be my friends. The only group of friends I really had. And I couldn't walk out the door. And my mum was insistent on me telling her why. And I was 13 years old when this surfaced. Was I 13 or 12? I might have even been 12. 12 or 13. I was in the first year of senior school. So yeah, either 12 or 13. And I can still vividly remember the scene between me and my mum. And I've revisited this in belief coding sessions. And we both sat, and I specifically remember exactly where we were sat, in the radiator in the living room of my mum's house, my mum and dad's house. And it was just me and mum. And we just sat crying at the realisation that I was being bullied. Oh God, it still feels so hard to say. See, really what I should be doing now is pausing this and having a good cry, because I'm trying not to cry right now, and all that's doing is suppressing an emotion. In fact, I'm going to. I was just about to say sorry about that, but I'm not sorry. So obviously once me and my mum had that realisation that was what was happening, obviously I've looked back and told Mum situations I'd been in. I think I've actually blocked a lot of it out, to be honest with you, but there was no physical bullying. It was all verbal and emotional. And actually, on this note, let me just read out to you different behaviours that bullying can be. So you've got physical, so pushing, poking, kicking, anything where you're physically touching them. Verbal, so name calling, sarcasm, spreading rumours, threats, teasing and belittling. And I had an awful lot of that. And emotional, isolating others, tormenting, hiding books, threatening gestures, ridicule, humiliation, intimidating, excluding, manipulation and coercion. And then you've got sexual bullying, so unwanted physical contact, inappropriate touching, abusive comments, homophobic abuse, exposure to inappropriate material. You've got online or cyberbullying, so posting on social media, sharing photos, sending nasty text messages, and social exclusion. And then you've got indirect bullying, so this can include the exploitation of individuals. And the thing is, in the world we live in nowadays, bullying is so much easier to do because people can hide behind computer screens, mobile phones. We've got so many platforms now where we can bully people, troll people anonymously, even not anonymously. It's actually quite scary, really, isn't it? But yeah, looking back, going back to that moment with my mum and my experience for probably 3 years in total, maybe slightly shorter. Included a lot of verbal bullying and a lot of emotional bullying. And this obviously peaked round about this time when my mum found out, because it became unbearable. It became unbearable to go to school and put myself in that position every day where I was ridiculed in front of this group of girls, or by this group of girls, I should say. Even just reading this back now, like the examples they've given, like name calling, teasing, belittling, hiding books. That was the kind of thing that used to happen a lot. It's like hiding things and thinking it's funny. And like, it's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes that is funny, but when it's done repetitively, over and over again, to make other people laugh, that's not funny. That is where you have the imbalance of power. And it's so hard to stick up to that. Why do we find it so hard to stick up to that? I think I'm maybe traditionally we've always been taught not to fight back, not to speak back to people. I don't know. But now I know myself better through this journey that I've been on for the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm still on now. And it's since May, when I signed up to belief coding, it's massively sped up. I am realising that the effects, the aftermath of being bullied at school in those early years, so between the age of 9 and 12, I've become a people pleaser. Since that age, I've worried about what people think about me. I've been so scared about people talking behind my back. So, as you can imagine, if anyone can relate to this, even if you can't, I'm sure you can imagine, that involves me considering every single little thing that I do, every single little thing that I say. I question it because I'm worried people are going to talk about me behind my back. I'm worried that people are going to laugh about me, either to my face or behind my back. That is my subconscious keeping me safe, because that's what I've had to deal with before. So my subconscious tells me, right, don't do this because that might happen. And it's really bloody hard to change that. Luckily, I have got the right tools to change that, and I am working on that. And it is getting massively better, but this is 3/4 of my life that I've spent people pleasing because I want everyone to be happy and I don't want anyone to laugh at me. 30 years I've spent worrying about what people are going to say about me behind my back. And this has led to not truly being able to relax, not truly being able to be my real true self, I think, if I'm completely honest, for worry about what people are going to think about me. It's led to me being a really needy friend. When I have a close friendship with somebody, I want to be that person's be all and end all, because I'm scared of, I guess, being abandoned as a friend. That's something I've always known about myself, is that deep down I feel like I have to be a best friend, someone's best friend, because I feel then that I can rely on that person. But oh my God, that is so hard work all the time. Like the feeling of sadness every time that person has another friend, which they're more than entitled to do. And I have this pathetic need to be their best friend. And it's bloody tiring. And that in itself, the needing to be somebody's best friend, has led to being vulnerable to people that I thought were friends but actually weren't, and being taken advantage of, being let down by people who I thought were, the bee's knees. I thought I was their best friend, and that's all in my head. And then the knock-on effect of that is that I find it hard to let myself get close to people. So yeah, that's just a few of the ways that I've realised so far bullying has affected my adult life. Bullying from my childhood, when I was 9 to 12 years old, has had that much of an effect on my life. And I didn't even experience any physical bullying. So I can only imagine how those must feel who have. I mean, I've been able to look back for a long, long time and know that there was, out of the group of girls that were involved, one of them was the ringleader, and the others probably got involved because they were too scared to do otherwise, because they didn't want to be on the receiving end of it. And I've made my peace with that. I've also made my peace with the fact that the ringleader, the girl who probably everybody was too scared of being on the receiving end of her jokes and her energy, she probably had a lot of insecurities in herself. I say probably, I can 99% look back and think, yeah, she did. And obviously that does make it easier, because I can now look back and see that. And I have been for a long time, been able to see that. But that doesn't take away all the memories. That doesn't take away the limiting beliefs that have been a result of my self-protection. Because limiting beliefs are really fucking hard to shift. If you've ever tried to shift a limiting belief, you'll know how hard it is. So what can we do about bullying? What can we do to reduce it? And this is really difficult, because at the end of the day, as we know, a lot of bullying happens in schools, and kids are cruel. Kids are going to be kids. They don't realise they're being as cruel as they are. Like I said, they're usually hiding their own insecurities. They're hiding behind an exterior of being the cool one, being the one that laughs at everyone, being the one that comes up with everything first, being the leader, when actually they're scared of the opposite. And we're never going to be able to change that. But what we can do is we can call it out when it does happen, when we see it happening. And this goes for in schools or in the workplace or anywhere in society where there are communities of people. So one thing I urge you to do is, not necessarily now, but when you're in a situation, question if you are being led to bullying. If you laugh along with people because you're scared of the main leader turning on you, you are part of the bullying process. You might not be the main instigator, but you're still part of the process. And another thing you can do is call it out. If you see it happening, if you see bullying taking place, call it out. Even if you're not laughing along and you're not part of the bullying, call it out. And this is actually something that we had a recent situation with one of my boys, and he witnessed a bullying incident at his rugby training. And he came back and he was really upset. He was thinking about quitting and going to another club because he'd witnessed it. And I challenged him. I said, you should be calling it out. You should be stopping that happening and saying, guys, this isn't cool. Rather than just coming home and saying you're not happy about it, that doesn't make you completely innocent. He wasn't involved in any way, laughing or actually, taking part, but he didn't speak up. And I think we all have a responsibility in society, in our communities, to speak up when we see this happening. So this is something we've got a responsibility to teach our children as well, which again is really hard because kids are worried about being the ones that are laughed at. If you're the one who sticks up for the kid being picked on, does that mean you're going to be picked on? This is the worry, this is the insecurities of not just kids, but humans in general. We don't want to be ridiculed. We don't want to be laughed at. And we worry that if we do speak up for others, then we are going to be laughed at as well. And what can we do if we have been on the receiving end of this? So, speaking from experience, I can look back and say that I thought I'd dealt with it. I remember my mum taking me to the GP when I was probably about 14 or 15, and them offering me to speak to somebody, and I said no. I then remember at the age of about 18 or 19 being diagnosed with depression and being prescribed antidepressants, and I had a really bad reaction to them. I think I might have talked about this in another episode actually. But I vowed that I would never take antidepressants again. It made me go loopy. Like the amount of arguments that Craig and I had when I was on the antidepressants, it just made me blow up, absolutely blow up. And I didn't like that side effect. I didn't like that part of me because that's not me. And at the time, I thought that I'd been diagnosed with depression and prescribed antidepressants as a result of a previous relationship breakdown, my first serious relationship. But actually, looking back now, I can 100% see that I just got on with it after the whole bullying period in school. I was removed from that group of friends. I formed an amazing new group of friends, and that was that. I just got on with the rest of my school life, which was great. But I hadn't truly dealt with what had happened in those 3 years. It's only now that I'm at the stage that I am in life and that I'm doing the work that I'm doing, like on myself and professionally with belief coding. That is how I'm dealing with it finally. That is how I'm working through it. And it's taken me to the age of 41 to do that. But it's never too late. As I always say, it's never too late for anything. It's never too late to make any changes. It's better late than never. I mean, I can only talk about my experience of it, but I urge you, actually deal with it. Whether that's through therapy, counselling, inner child work, whatever form of healing needs to take place for you. Have a belief coding session. Contact me for a belief coding session. But just do something. Don't just think, I've dealt with that, it's in the past. If you're still showing those signs of worrying about what people think of you, of not being your true self, then you haven't dealt with it, because it's still having an emotional effect on you. None of us deserve to feel worthless. None of us deserve to feel pathetic, ridiculous, stupid. But this is what experiences with bullying does to you. Because all these feelings and emotions, they're all very low vibe. They're very low on the scale of vibration. You are not going to attract greatness and high vibe things into your life if you have still got these low vibe feelings about yourself hanging around. And this is something I'm learning for myself, you know. I thought I was really high vibe, you know, I do feel feelings of love, happiness, you know, all the things that are high up on the scale. I feel all those things, but I also have the underlying fear of judgment, the worries, the sadness, all these things low on the vibration scale. And another exercise that you can try if you feel ready to deal with this and genuinely let go of these experiences, try something called the Ho'oponopono prayer. And this is an ancient Hawaiian practice which allows you to let go of things. It allows you to take responsibility for your part in any situation. This goes for any situation that you're ready to let go of, not just if you've experienced bullying in the past. Anything that you're ready to let go of. And it allows you to forgive, because it's only when we're able to forgive that we're truly able to move on. Holding on to any feelings or emotions such as resentment and anger towards somebody, not only are you low on the vibrational scale, but you're also not letting go. So Ho'oponopono, for anybody who's interested, involves reciting the following: I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. And this might sound like a really strange thing to say to somebody who's wronged you in any way, but by doing so, you're accepting responsibility for your part in it. So you've allowed this to take place. You haven't had your boundaries in place. Forgive me. You can see this as forgive me for the ill feelings I've had towards you. Thank you. Thank you for the lessons I've been shown from this. And I love you. If you truly come from a place of love, you can forgive somebody. And the Ho'oponopono can not only work if you are looking to let go of something when something has happened to you, but also if you've wronged anybody, because we all have. At some point in our lives, we've all wronged somebody. And we have to be able to forgive ourselves. And during this process of letting go through Ho'oponopono, you can simply recite it. You can think of this person who's wronged you or who you've wronged, and write down their name, write down, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And you can burn it. There's actually some beautiful musical versions of the Ho'oponopono. So actually I can think of one now, which is amazing, and I'll pop that in the show notes. It's just beautiful to listen to as well. It's just a lovely thing you can do, a lovely practice you can take part in when you're truly ready to let go of something. And I highly recommend it. In fact, I haven't done the Ho'oponopono with my bullying incident, but maybe I will. I've done it with lots of other things, things I've had to let go of in the past when I've been working through other limiting beliefs. But yeah, I will practice what I preach and do this with my bullying experience. Wow, I've certainly gone on for a long time talking about this subject, which is obviously very, very close to my heart. But we all have a responsibility to stop bullying, to call out bullying, to recognise bullying towards us or others. So if you notice it happening to somebody else, if you notice it happening to a friend and they don't realise it's happening, because you don't always realise it's happening at the time, call it out. Don't just turn a blind eye and think it's okay because you're not involved. Call it out. Educate your children, if you've got any, to know what to do when they witness bullying. And show kindness, show love and kindness in any situation we're in. That's how we're truly going to stop bullying. And by setting an example to our children and to others around us, by taking responsibility for our own insecurities, so as we don't fall into bullying ourselves. It's by doing those things that we're going to truly stop bullying. Now, I'm well aware this has been a very different style of episode to what I normally talk about, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope if you've been through bullying yourself, if you've witnessed bullying yourself, or even if you have been the bully, I hope you've gained something from this and have an idea of what you can do to either prevent, to heal, or let go. Please do reach out if anyone's got any questions or if anyone's got any feedback. Please do reach out. My email address, as always, is in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your experiences and your advice that I can pass on to others or even use myself. I promise that next week will be much more lighthearted, but this is something that is very true to my heart and very relevant for obvious reasons, and is relevant because it's anti-bullying week. So yeah, there we go. I can't even remember if I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. I did start writing a few notes at the beginning, but I just thought, do you know what? I'm just going to share my experience, because if that helps anybody else, even if it's just one of you, then I will be happy. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what you think. Anyway, lots of love. I'm sending lots of love to all of you, and I will speak to you on a very, very much more positive, I had hiccups then, more positive note next week. Lots of love. Bye.